Hey everyone, it's Jack here, TalkNorwichCity. Welcome back to another video. It's been a little while here on TNC. We've had an international break, which nobody likes. I was away for the last game against Swansea City, so we return to the channel, and I'm going to try and be upbeat as we go into a really busy period in the season, and I think a period in the season which is going to start to form some opinions, and we'll start to have a little bit more of an idea over where we're at as a football club, and what we've got to look forward to and what we've got to worry about moving into the kind of coming months. Norwich played Swansea on Saturday. We lost that game 1-0, and it's always interesting when I didn't watch the game live, but I was seeing the reactions of everyone, and it felt quite downbeat, I must say. And the people who I follow that I take their opinion seriously and think they come from a good place seem to be really down about what we'd seen. And I kind of watched the game back and looked at the numbers and read the articles and watched the videos, and I didn't think we were too bad. I think the performance wise it was very similar to that of the Coventry game that we won. And I'm a big believer at this stage in the season, first probably 10 games, you're needing results, and it's ultimately a results business. And if we lose every game, then Johannes Torp's not going to be in a job for too much longer. But that's not the case. And I think so far, barring probably just the Oxford game, performance levels have been really good. And we're starting to see a pattern, and we are gradually seeing improvement week in, week out. And I think at this stage, that's all you could ask for. Now, moving forwards, those types of performances need to be turned in results, and we shall see if that happens. But I think it's always fascinating the difference in reaction between a 1-0 win like we saw against Coventry away from home and a 1-0 defeat like we saw against Swansea. Norwich had more than enough chances in that Swansea game to beat them. Borja Sainz could have scored 3 on his own. Josh Sargent should have and could have probably scored a couple. There was a couple of fantastic last gasp challenges from the Swansea defence, and we score an own goal, an unfortunate one for Amankwa Forson. So lots could change there, and you could quite easily come out of that game winning 3 or 4-1. The Coventry game on the flip side was a good performance, but Norwich held on for large periods in that game, and we ground it out and we hustled and we found a way, and Coventry were probably a little bit lacklustre in the final third. And actually, in terms of performance levels, they were very similar. So we've had an international break. That was the first game back, and now we've got a really busy period. We've got Watford on Saturday, then we've got Saturday, Tuesday, Derby away and Leeds at home, Hull away, Stoke away, Preston away, and Borough at home, and that's all within about a month. So it's a really hectic period, and I think this is the stage where Johannes Torp will be starting to understand his best 11. He'll be starting to understand the weaknesses in this squad. He's also got some kind of staff issues to deal with now. Narcis Pelak and a couple of others, including Paul Clements, have gone to Stoke. Big opportunity for Narcis Pelak. They sacked Stephen Schumacher, Stoke City, so he goes in there as head coach. That's a really big job for him, and in terms of how it's gone for Stoke managers over the last sort of 5-6 years, he's probably hoping it doesn't go in a similar kind of direction to those guys. So fair play to them, but it does leave us with a little bit of a hole in terms of coaching staff. Declan Rudd has come in on an interim basis, so we'll be interesting to see how that all develops. But I think actually in the grand scheme of things, probably a good thing that Johannes Torp can continue to put his stamp on this squad and this football club. We got to see a glimpse of it in the transfer window with a couple of his signings, Oscar Schwartau, Ante Cianats, players like that. Now he's got the opportunity to do it in terms of coaching staff. So probably extra work that he didn't really need at this stage. But I think long term probably a good thing. But we have lost a couple of really good coaches there. Watford are an interesting team in terms of coming to Carrow Road. I think many had them down for kind of relegation candidates at the start of the season. But they've started the season incredibly well. I mean, they won their first 5 games of the season. Beat Millwall 3-2. They beat MK Dons in the Cup 5-0. They beat Stoke 3-0. They beat Derby 2-1. They had another cup game, beat Plymouth 2-0. And the last couple, they haven't picked up a win. They lost 1-0 to Sheffield United and a 1-1 draw with Coventry. But cleverly he's got this side playing some really good football. It's a much changed Watford side to what we would have been used to a couple of years ago, but still a very strong side. And I think it's important that Norwich get back to Carrow Road. Norwich's Carrow Road record is astonishing over the past kind of 12 months. And that needs to continue. And ultimately, I think the buy-in that Johannes Hoff-Torup and Ben Napper in this new era, and the Atanasios, everyone involved with trying to kind of change the makeup of this club and the direction of travel, ultimately buy-in is bought from wins at Carrow Road. And I think that's why David Wagner probably lasted as long as he did, because actually the Carrow Road record was really good. Norwich seemed to be a lot more free, a lot more willing to take risk, a lot more enjoyable to watch at Carrow Road, and that's always been something I've struggled to understand, because yes, the support is better, and yes, it is easier playing at home, but in terms of style, it shouldn't make a whole lot of difference. And I think we need to find more of a balance moving forwards under Torup, because the away form last season was utterly disastrous, and this season it hasn't been a whole lot better. In terms of the makeup of this squad at the moment, I think we need to see more goals, and we need to see some assistance with Josh Sargent. It does feel as if we're in a position now where if Sargent isn't scoring, Norwich aren't winning games, and that's a slight concern. Borja Science I thought was really wasteful against Swansea. We need to see a better output from him. If Onel Hernandez is going to be playing games, we need to see more goals from him. Oscar Schwartau, Ante Sienats, we need to see contributions from those guys. So we need a bit more in terms of that final product going forwards. And I think it wasn't even we created chances in that last game against Swansea. It was that cutting edge in the final third, and we've seen that a couple of times this season. The draw against Blackburn in particular, where Josh Sargent could have had a hat-trick in the first half. There've been a couple of games this season where that's not quite clicked, and hopefully that will come with time. And actually it's the creating the chances which is the hard bit, so hopefully we see some improvement there. Defensively, it's an interesting one, and I think Johannes Hoff-Torup continues to have decisions to make. I wasn't overly impressed, and actually haven't been overly impressed with Jack Stacey so far this season. In terms of stamina and ability to get up and down the pitch, he's probably the best in the division. There's just been a couple of decisions that I've seen this season that I've gone, I'm not sure about that, and Kellen Fisher will definitely be sensing an opportunity to break into the side. But the big one feels like it's Shane Duffy. Johannes Hoff-Torup has a player on the bench in Jose Cordoba that has been brought in with high profile, and will be wanting to play football matches. And Shane Duffy will be knowing that he's right down his rear view mirror looking, and Cordoba and will be wanting to play football, and Johannes Hoff-Torup has a decision to make here, and it'll be fascinating to see how that develops. I think next to him, Callum Doyle, it's an absolute shoe-in, and the left back at the moment kind of picks itself. The other one as well, and I'm being a bit of a perfectionist here, it does feel like we're still a little bit light in the middle of the park, and I think that really shone against Swansea in a sense of we're quite small, and we're quite we still lack that ball kind of that deep lying midfielder that can win the ball back. Kenny McLean, great player. Marcelino Nunes, great player. Mads Forsen clearly has real talent, but is young and naive and will make mistakes, and that's fine because we know what we were getting into there. But it still feels like we're lacking something, and the squad will develop over time. But my overriding sense of this whole setup at the moment is one of positivity. It feels as if we're moving in the right direction. Even with the defeats, it feels as if the performances are there. And I'm sure with time and with a little bit more know-how in this division, this side will start to be able to find ways of winning and winning comfortably. There's too much talent in this side, and the coach feels too good for that not to happen. You've got a player in Josh Sargent who will guarantee you goals. You've got an international goalkeeper in Angus Gunn. You've got Callum Doyle. He's one of the highest rated young defenders in the country. You've got Kenny McLean in there who's played a whole load of games at this level. Borja Science, who on his day is one of the best kind of attackers in this division. You have the elements here now to really kick on. It's now just finding that rhythm and really pushing on. I'm fascinated to see how this next month plays out, and I think by probably the end of that Middlesbrough game on the 27th of October, we'll be able to look at this start to the season with a third of the games played, and take stock and understand where we're at and see what reinforcements we need in January. I still think it's too early to be making really rash decisions. I think you just have to go on the eye test at the moment and almost leave the league table and the results that we've seen to one side and go, have we seen improvement? Are we starting to see a pattern? Have the players that have been brought in showing signs of goodness? And I think there's a tick in the box of all of those. And at the moment, that's all I'm judging it on. We can take another assessment on this in sort of 5-10 games time. But for now, I'm feeling good about it. And it's also interesting to see how the league is shaping up. I think you've got a couple of teams. You've got West Brom, who look really good, and I think have probably got the best coach in the division. You've got Sunderland, who are incredibly young. It'll be interesting to see if they can continue their fast start. Burnley, Leeds will more than definitely be up there. You've got Luton, who I'm sure will come good at some stage. So you have got a couple of good sides in here. But all of that list that I've just mentioned have weaknesses. And it's not like last season where you've got 4 sides really that are just on another level. That's not the case this season. So there will be opportunity being smelt at the football club. And that feels exciting. There we go. It's Watford on Saturday. I think we'll win. And hopefully kickstart the season after the international break. That international break didn't come at the right time, did it? In the with hindsight. So let me know what you think down in the comment section below. Really keen to hear your thoughts, and we'll see how it goes at Carrow Road on Saturday. Fingers crossed for 3 points.